There are moments in life when you notice that people treat you differently, though you cannot always explain why. Their eyes linger a little longer. Their conversations pause when you walk into the room. Their respect seems quieter, less spoken, but always present. For men who walk the Sigma path, this is not a coincidence, it is recognition. Sigma males rarely chase the spotlight. They prefer solitude over noise, depth over surface, and purpose over popularity. Yet even in their silence, others sense something unusual. It's as if they carry an invisible mark, not of arrogance, but of certainty. This mark is what makes people whisper, "He is different." Being the chosen one is not about being better than others, it is about alignment. Sigma males carry themselves in a way that suggests they know who they are, even without constant validation. And when the world recognizes this, it responds in subtle, fascinating ways. Friends may lean in closer. Strangers may open up more quickly. Even rivals sense a quiet authority that cannot easily be explained. You see, people are observant in ways they do not fully realize. They notice how Sigma males hold their ground without the need to prove themselves. They notice how comfort in solitude does not come from bitterness, but from balance. They notice the small details, posture, presence, patience, that reveal a man at peace with himself. And in a world where many chase attention, the man who does not chase it becomes magnetic. He becomes the one others recognize, even if no words are spoken. Today, let us explore the things people do when they recognize that a Sigma male is the chosen one. The signs are not loud. They are subtle, quiet gestures that reveal respect, admiration, and sometimes even unease. But each of them points back to one truth. People know when they stand in the presence of someone who is different. Number one, they fall silent around you. Conversations soften when Sigma males enter a room, not out of fear, but because presence alone commands attention without effort. Silence becomes a form of respect. This effect has less to do with spoken words and more to do with what psychologists call non-verbal dominance cues. Research shows that body language, posture, eye contact, even how someone occupies space, often shapes how others perceive authority before a single word is spoken. Sigma males who naturally lean toward quiet confidence rather than boastful expression display these cues effortlessly. They stand with composure, they listen more than they interrupt, and they rarely seek validation. This calm steadiness unsettles the usual social dynamic, making others instinctively pay attention. Historically, figures known for leadership often embodied this same quality. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, was not remembered for loud speeches, but for his reflective silence and thoughtful presence. People respected him not because he demanded it, but because his restraint suggested wisdom. The Sigma male archetype mirrors this energy in modern times. He does not need to compete for dominance in conversations. Instead, his quiet focus signals that he is in control of himself, a trait that many unconsciously admire. Interestingly, neuroscience backs this phenomenon as well. Studies on mirror neurons, cells in the brain that fire both when we act and when we observe someone else, reveal why others feel the energy of a Sigma male. When a man radiates calm confidence, those around him unconsciously mirror it. This creates an atmosphere where voice is lower, movements slow, and conversations take on a more measured tone. Silence, once awkward in ordinary settings, transforms into a gesture of respect. It is worth noting that this respect is not rooted in intimidation. Unlike authoritarian figures who silence others through fear, Sigma males command attention by embodying self-possession. People sense that he is comfortable in his own skin, not pressured to prove himself. This authenticity makes interactions more genuine. Women may find themselves leaning in closer, not because he insists on being heard, but because his rare balance of mystery and certainty makes them curious. Men, on the other hand, may measure their words more carefully, realizing that a Sigma male's quiet observation carries weight. In the end, the Sigma presence reminds us of a timeless truth. Authority is not always loud, and influence is not always forced. Sometimes the most powerful statement is made without speaking at all. In a noisy world, silence becomes the language of respect, and Sigma males speak it fluently. Number two, they watch without realizing it. People find themselves observing Sigma males, studying how they act. Curiosity pulls them in even if they cannot explain why. There is something quietly magnetic about these men, and it often has less to do with what they say and more with what they do not say. In a world where most chase validation through noise, Sigma males embody a different rhythm, one of restraint, mystery, and independence. Their energy resonates like an unsolved puzzle, and human nature is wired to pay attention to what it cannot easily categorize. From a psychological standpoint, this fascination is connected to the way people respond to ambiguity. Social scientists often note that uncertainty sparks curiosity. When someone doesn't reveal all their thoughts or intentions, our brains instinctively try to fill in the blanks. Sigma males, by choosing silence over unnecessary talk, become the subject of deeper observation. In fact, research in behavioral psychology suggests that people are more intrigued by individuals who remain unpredictable. Just as a suspenseful book keeps readers turning the page, a Sigma male's unreadable demeanor compels others to keep watching. Another layer of intrigue comes from their independence. History has always admired figures who stood apart from the crowd. Think of philosophers like Marcus Aurelius or inventors like Nikola Tesla. These men carried an aura of detachment, not because they hated society, but because they operated by their own inner compass. Sigma males reflect this same trait today. They don't follow trends for the sake of belonging, and they rarely compromise authenticity for approval. In a culture obsessed with external validation, this self-reliance feels both rare and admirable, pulling others into silent admiration. Even biology plays a role in this magnetism. Studies on social dynamics reveal that individuals who show calm confidence without aggressive displays of dominance are often perceived as more trustworthy and competent. Unlike the alpha male, who may project authority through volume or control, the Sigma male projects it through composure and subtle presence. This explains why people often feel drawn to observe them in group settings. He may not be the loudest, but his quiet strength speaks volumes. Ultimately, curiosity about Sigma males reflects a deeper human yearning. People long for examples of those who can stand firm without constant approval, who can navigate life's noise without being consumed by it. Watching a Sigma male reminds them of qualities they wish to cultivate: self-mastery, independence, and authenticity. That is why eyes linger on them longer than usual. It is not arrogance that captures attention, but the mystery of someone who seems to need nothing, yet inspires everything. Number 3, they test boundaries gently. Some will try to test the Sigma male, not with open hostility, but with subtle challenges meant to uncover whether his calm presence is genuine or just a mask. These quiet tests often come in the form of small remarks, playful provocations, or even delays designed to see if the Sigma reacts with frustration or impatience. What many don't realize is that these moments are not random acts of curiosity. They are actually forms of recognition in disguise. People sense that there is something different about a Sigma male, and they want to know if his composure holds steady when pressure is applied. Psychologists describe this kind of behavior as a social probe. In human interactions, we often test boundaries to understand another person's character. Just as children push rules to see if their parents truly mean what they say, adults too engage in these small experiments. With Sigma males, the stakes feel higher because their energy communicates quiet authority. When a man doesn't rely on boasting, status symbols, or constant validation, others instinctively wonder what lies beneath the surface. Interestingly, this phenomenon has roots in evolutionary psychology. For centuries, humans have relied on subtle cues to determine leadership, trustworthiness, and social hierarchy. People unconsciously look for consistency. Does a man's behavior align with his words? Does he stay centered when challenged? The Sigma male, often positioned outside the traditional hierarchy of alpha and beta, disrupts expectations. He doesn't fight for dominance, yet he commands respect. His calm demeanor draws curiosity, and these little tests are a way for others to confirm whether that calmness is authentic strength or mere pretense. In everyday life, this can appear in different ways. A coworker might crack a joke at his expense, waiting to see if he grows defensive. A woman might deliberately make him wait, observing whether he grows restless. Even friends might exaggerate a story to gauge his reaction. In all these cases, the Sigma's response, or lack of reaction, reveals much more than words ever could. His ability to remain unbothered demonstrates self-mastery, and that quiet resilience often earns him even greater respect. So while these small tests may seem like minor annoyances, they are actually signs of recognition. They show that people notice the Sigma's difference and feel compelled to measure it against their own standards. The Sigma male doesn't need to prove himself in these moments. His calm presence already provides the answer. In a world where many react instantly, his patience and composure stand as undeniable proof that his calm is not an act. It is who he truly is. Number 4, they seek guidance without asking directly. Friends and strangers alike may mirror the Sigma male's habits, his discipline, his restraint, even without consciously seeking advice. Influence happens quietly. What makes this fascinating is that people are often shaped less by what is said and more by what is observed. In psychology, this is referred to as social learning theory, proposed by Albert Bandura. According to this idea, individuals learn behaviors, values, and attitudes simply by watching others, especially when those others exude confidence and consistency. A Sigma male rarely sets out to teach or preach, yet his way of living becomes a kind of silent curriculum for those around him. Consider how restraint and discipline naturally draw respect. In a world that constantly celebrates loudness, instant gratification, and self-promotion, the quiet strength of a Sigma stands out. People may notice that he doesn't rush into arguments, that he maintains composure when others lose theirs, or that he dedicates time to self-improvement rather than chasing fleeting pleasures. Without saying a word, this creates a ripple effect. A co-worker might begin showing more patience in meetings, a friend may start hitting the gym consistently, or even strangers might rethink how they carry themselves in public, all because they've witnessed a living example of grounded masculinity. This subtle influence can be compared to what sociologists call behavioral contagion, the spread of actions and attitudes within a community. Just as laughter or yawning can spread through a crowd, so too can discipline, focus, and calmness. When a Sigma male holds himself with quiet certainty, it challenges those around him to examine their own choices. It is not coercion, it is inspiration. People sense that he isn't moved by trends or desperate for approval, and that independence itself becomes magnetic. History also shows us the power of quiet influence. Figures like Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, left behind wisdom not through flamboyant speeches, but through lived principles written in private reflections. Similarly, the Sigma male embodies the idea that action speaks louder than words. His life becomes a mirror, and others cannot help but see themselves reflected differently when standing near him. In the end, this influence is not about control, it is about resonance. The Sigma male's habits are like a calm river that slowly reshapes the stones along its banks. Without force, without noise, his discipline and restraint flow into the lives of others. Friends and strangers alike may find themselves imitating him, not because he asked them to, but because the human spirit naturally gravitates towards strength, balance, and authenticity. Number 5, they treat you as a standard. When people begin to measure themselves against a Sigma male, it is not always out of rivalry. It often stems from curiosity and quiet respect. The Sigma male, unlike others, doesn't project his worth through loud gestures or external validation. Instead, his confidence comes from an inner compass, a deep sense of independence and clarity. This silent strength often becomes a mirror for others. They start comparing their own behaviors, decisions, and level of self-assurance to his. What makes this comparison powerful is that it's rarely provoked. The Sigma male doesn't ask to be the standard, yet he naturally becomes one. In psychology, this phenomenon is tied to social comparison theory, a concept developed by Leon Festinger in 1954, which explains that people determine their own social and personal worth based on how they stack up against others. The Sigma male often becomes the unspoken benchmark in this process. In everyday settings, you might notice this in subtle ways. Colleagues may try to match his calm composure during stressful moments. Friends may question their own dependence on approval when they see how he thrives without it. Even rivals may quietly shift their behavior after realizing that confrontation doesn't rattle him. This isn't about dominance, it's about influence. Research in leadership psychology highlights that individuals with quiet confidence often exert what's called referent power, a form of influence built on respect and admiration rather than authority or fear. The Sigma male embodies this, turning respect into a silent but steady benchmark for others. The effect can be both inspiring and intimidating. On one hand, people are motivated to improve themselves, to act with more authenticity and self-control. On the other hand, the Sigma's refusal to play social games exposes how much others rely on them. In relationships, this can be especially striking. For instance, while many men may try to impress women with attention-seeking gestures, the Sigma's indifference highlights the emptiness of those tactics. His quiet independence becomes attractive precisely because it contrasts with the neediness often present in social interactions. Culturally, this pattern reflects a long-standing archetype, the lone wolf admired across myths and stories. From samurai traditions in Japan to Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, history celebrates figures who stood apart, not by rejecting society, but by refusing to be consumed by it. This resonance explains why the Sigma male image continues to capture attention in modern discussions about masculinity. It is not about superiority, it is about becoming a living reminder that strength, respect, and independence need no announcement. When people compare themselves to him, they are not merely measuring success, they are measuring authenticity. And in that measure, respect becomes the quietest but most powerful standard of all. Number 6. They protect your space. When people recognize Sigma males as chosen ones, they often respond in ways that go beyond words. One of the most telling reactions is how they create space around them, granting freedom, solitude, and room to think. This isn't mere politeness, it's an unspoken acknowledgement of a unique path. Throughout history, individuals who embodied self-reliance and inner conviction, think of philosophers like Marcus Aurelius or leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, commanded a similar response. People instinctively step back, not out of fear, but out of respect for a person who seems to carry an inner compass. In psychology, this phenomenon is linked to the concept of psychological distance. When someone projects confidence and independence, others subconsciously give them more autonomy because they perceive them as capable of self-governance. This dynamic also reflects the Sigma male's unusual blend of introversion and authority. Unlike extroverted leaders who dominate spaces with energy, Sigma males influence by presence, not volume. They do not demand attention. They earn it through consistency, self-mastery, and quiet determination. This paradox, solitude paired with impact, can make them appear like modern-day chosen ones. They're often seen as individuals who are not easily swayed by trends or groupthink, and that alone can inspire curiosity, admiration, or even caution in others. Sociologists describe this as status granting, where a community collectively recognizes a person's standing without needing explicit credentials or titles. Even in everyday settings, workplaces, social circles, or communities, this behavior shows up. People might hesitate to interrupt them, invite them into trivial gossip less frequently, or instinctively consult them for perspective rather than validation. This isn't because Sigma males deliberately create distance. Rather, their strong sense of identity signals to others that their energy is both valuable and self-contained. In a world where constant noise and digital distractions dominate, such individuals feel rare, almost sacred. This is why people instinctively offer them space. It allows the Sigma male to maintain the clarity, reflection, and autonomy that make his influence meaningful. Ultimately, this unspoken acknowledgement is less about hierarchy and more about resonance. People can sense when someone walks a path of inner purpose, and their response, offering freedom and solitude, is a quiet form of respect. It's a recognition that such a person operates on a different frequency, one that demands room to think, create, and simply be. Being recognized as a chosen one is never about arrogance or claiming superiority over others. It is about carrying yourself with a quiet strength that naturally reshapes the space around you. People adjust, sometimes without realizing it, not because you demand it, but because your presence carries a weight that cannot be ignored. In psychology, this is often linked to the concept of social presence, the unspoken influence a person has over others through body language, energy, and authenticity. Sigma males, in particular, embody this effortlessly. They do not chase recognition, yet when it comes, it is a reminder that authenticity has power. Their strength lies not in loud declarations, but in subtle, consistent actions that align with who they are. History and literature are filled with examples of figures who carried this kind of quiet authority. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. He did not need to shout to assert his leadership. His writings in Meditations show a man who valued self-discipline, inner peace, and authenticity more than external applause. This same principle applies today. True masculinity does not shout, it speaks in silence. Studies in behavioral science show that calm confidence often inspires more trust than exaggerated displays of dominance. People are naturally drawn to those who project steadiness in a chaotic world. Sigma males walk this path intuitively. They do not enter rooms seeking validation, yet their authenticity disrupts the atmosphere in ways that others feel but cannot always explain. Strangers may instinctively show respect, friends may unconsciously lean in to listen more closely, and even rivals may tread carefully in their presence. This is not manipulation, but the natural effect of being aligned with one's values. In a society often consumed by noise, distraction, and shallow pursuits, the ability to remain authentic becomes magnetic. Being recognized as chosen is less about what you say and more about how you live. It is about being steady when others waver, disciplined when others drift, and authentic when others chase masks. This is why the recognition of a Sigma male feels profound. It is not manufactured. It is earned through a lifestyle that values substance over show. And in that silence, a deeper truth emerges. The strongest voices are often the quietest, and real influence does not need to announce itself.